basic foundation of this country. And if you don't understand that commitment to the founding fathers, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, they didn't ask for man's providence. They asked for divine providence. But see, when we're not teaching the Declaration, we're not teaching the Constitution, we're not teaching civics, we're not teaching that relationship. You know, the three branches of government came from Isaiah. You know, the executive, God the Father, lawgiver, the legislature, the judicial branch, God the judge. All those things are there.
Allen Bernard West is an American politician and retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, also a member of the Republican Party. Colonel West represented Florida's 22nd Congressional District in the United States House of Representatives from 2011 to 2013 and served as chairman of the Republican Party of Texas from 2020 to 2021. Lieutenant Colonel West was deployed to Kuwait in 1991 and Iraq in 2003. After retiring from the military, Colonel West moved to Florida to teach as a high school teacher and also worked as a defense contractor as a civilian advisor for the Afghan National Army. West entered politics in 2008 as a Republican nominee for Florida's 22nd Congressional District, losing to the Democratic incumbent Ron Klein. He then won the seat, coinciding with significant Republican gains in that year's midterm elections. West took office in January 2011 as the first African-American Republican member of Congress from Florida since Josiah T. Walls left office in 1876 near the end of Reconstruction. Fast forward to July 4th, 2021, West announced he would challenge current Governor Greg Abbott for Republican nomination for governor of Texas in 2022, but was defeated in the primaries on March 1st, 2022. There is so much to say about Lieutenant Colonel Allen B. West. It would take many videos, so let's see him in action. Editor, roll clip, fair use.
And you will continue to make a difference as we stand up for our constitutional conservative principles and values. And to this incredible team that I have behind me, I have nothing but high praise for each and every one of them. And I know that some people out there may be feeling a little down, a little dejected. Put your head up and continue to press on, because what we do in this moment is for what we set up for our children and our grandchildren. Pass all those things, but the most important thing I want to pass on to them is an understanding of liberty, and an understanding of freedom, and an understanding of how they live in a country that since April the 19th of 1775, men and women stood up and said those simple three words that is the motto of the United States Army: this will defend. You're God-given American rights to pursue your own happiness, and you're the one that's supposed to determine that. I remember growing up as a kid, and I ran track. And sometimes we would say, man, that boy runs like Speedy Gonzalez. That wasn't being a racist. It was just admiring the fact that you had this cartoon character. Or, you know, sometimes we would poke fun at people that had body odor. We said, man, you like Pepe Le Pew. But now all of a sudden, we are living in an age where some simple things such as that are now all of a sudden being demonized and castigated in a different way. Talking about some lessons that I learned as far as leadership with the 25 years that I spent in uniform with the United States Army. As a matter of fact, 30 years ago right now, I was in the middle of the Kuwait Desert in a thing called Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I was in the 1st Infantry Division. I was in the lead infantry task force there. And it was an incredible thing, because I remember sitting down with my dad. My dad was a World War II corporal, and him talking about being in combat. And then, of course, my older brother, who was a Marine infantryman in Vietnam, and he was wounded at a place called Khe Sanh. And so at the age of 15, my dad sat me down on the steps of our house there in Atlanta, Georgia, and he challenged me to be the first officer in our family, because he was just a corporal and my older brother was a lance corporal. So this whole thing about leadership, you know, started for me in 1976 when I was in high school junior ROTC in Atlanta, Georgia, and I continued on to Army ROTC at the University of Tennessee. And on 31 July of 1982, at the wee little age of 21 years of age, I became a second lieutenant in the United States Army. It was one of the greatest days in my life, because I looked over on my right shoulder, and there was my dad. I can show you the picture. Corporal Herman West Sr. and my mom, Elizabeth Thomas West, on my left shoulder, and they pinned those gold second lieutenant bars on my shoulders. And I never seen my dad get teary-eyed, but he got teary-eyed. And, I had to hold back the tears when he was pinning on those bars. But it was such a rewarding experience to finally, in those 6 years, to look at him and say, Dad, I did what you told me to do. And that's what leadership is all about. A father who was born in 1920 in Ozark, Alabama, got smart, jumped the Chattahoochee River, grew up in South Georgia. But think about what it meant to be a black man born in Alabama in 1920. But yet you answer the call of service to your country in World War II, when your country did not even see you as equal to a lot of others each and every day in your life. And so in my years in the Army, it taught me that there are 5 letter C's to leadership. And you can find each and every one of those letter C's in the book of Philippians. So let me start out with the first C, and you might remember this because this is one of my top 10 favorite verses. But the first C is courage. You cannot be a leader unless you have courage. As Thomas Jefferson once said, and I think I shared it with y'all previously, in matters of style, swim with the current. But in matters of substance, stand like a rock. One of the worst things that happen with us and our kids? We told kids that they should get something for doing nothing. It's the culture of the participation trophy. Now, back when I was growing up in Atlanta, Georgia, okay, if I was out there on the football field and I missed a tackle, it wasn't my dad, it was my mama. Okay? My mama would come down there and tell me what you should be doing. And that's why I said my mom taught me a man must stand for something or else he'll fall for anything. That's all about courage. In the United States of America right now, people are looking for that light. People are looking for people with the courage to stand up and say, this is right and this is wrong. The second C is competence. Courage and competence. The next one is commitment. Third C, commitment. And when I go over here, I look at Philippians chapter 3, starting verse 13 to 14. Brethren, I do not regard myself as having laid hold of it yet, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and reaching forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. You got to find your core set of principles and values. You got to be committed to those things. Do you know that in the state of Texas, you have how many members of the Texas State House? You have 150 members in the Texas State House. Why do you have 150 members in the Texas State House? Can never be changed, no matter what redistricting does, because you have 150 Psalms. How many members do you have in the Texas State Senate? 31, because there are 31 Proverbs. It can never be changed. That's that relationship. And if you're not understanding, if you're not committed to those things, if you don't press toward that inward goal, then someone can get you to believe in anything. Now, even though you may have commitment, you must also have conviction. Because a lot of people say that I'm committed to this. This is what I believe in. This is what I stand for. And then when things get a little rough, things get a little difficult, they say, yeah, well, maybe I can, lean a little bit this way or lean a little that way. That's not conviction. Paul writes, and my God will supply all of your needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus. That's your conviction. God's got your back. So if you are committed to something, if you are competent in understanding it, if you have the courage to stand up for it, then you should be convicted in because God's got your back. Remember one of my favorite verses, Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. See, that's why it's so easy for a person like me to be called house N-word, sellout, Uncle Tom, Oreo, white man's porch monkey. That's pretty original because I know that I'm rooted in courage. I'm rooted in competence. I'm rooted in commitment. I'm rooted in conviction. Because if you're just calling me a name, that means I'm winning the debate. You don't surrender, you don't retreat, which is the exact same thing that a 26-year-old wrote in a letter from the Alamo. The last C is character. This is a tough one. We told our daughters, I always taught soldiers, character means doing what is right when no one's watching. You know, the old folks used to say this. The old folks used to say, people will know you by the company you keep.
Hey guys, it's Jose, your regular Joe Blow. Again, keeping an eye out and my ears open to our superheroes doing the Lord's work even when it's unpopular. Now, this is a man I must salute. His story is real dear to my heart because it reminds me of my grandfather, who also was lieutenant colonel in the Dominican Republic and also was a man of God and followed the word to his last breath. Because also in every situation that he found himself, he would ask, what would God do? Everything he did was unpopular, even in a third world country. He retired with dignity. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Allen West, for your continued service. I'll continue to do my part and bring forth God's soldiers to American and hope for more awareness. They are all around us. They carry the 5 C's: courage, competence, commitment, conviction, character. Thank you guys for all your support. See you guys on the next one. Stay free.